Well, good morning, Flosstube. Welcome to Grandma's World. I'm Debbie, and I've been absent. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to handle all this, and life keeps getting in the way. I've been sick, actually, for a couple of weeks. I have a 3-year-old grandson who goes to preschool and picks up whatever virus is going around and brings it home and shares it with his family. So I had been 2 months without seeing him or his brother or my son or his wife, because they just keep passing these preschool sicknesses around, and they don't want to give it to me, and I don't particularly want it, although I do miss them. And they know that. And so my son, the most recent one, has been counting days the way we used to do when I was teaching, and we would ask parents, please don't send your kids if they're in the first 3 days of an illness, because that's when they're the most contagious. And so my son contacted me and said, you know, do you want us, we'd like to come for a visit, can we come? They are sick. They have a sinus infection. We've all had the sinus infection, but they're past that contagious time. We think it would be okay. And I said, oh, absolutely. I really want to see you. And that squishy little baby, right? He's over a year. I get them confused. He turned a year in December, on the 5th of December. So he's like 14, 15 months. And he came in and shared it with me. And so I've been fighting this sinus infection for a couple of weeks. It's not a bad thing. It hasn't been awful. My go-to medication for something like that is guaifenesin, which is an expectorant. What it does is keep everything watery. It keeps all that mucus from thickening up, keeps it watery, and keeps it moving out normally. And this is the first time since I retired from teaching, and I retired in 2017, that I've been sick. I haven't had. One thing is being locked down in COVID and wearing a mask all the time. That helps. But when I did get sick, I just keep, every 4 hours I take one of these. It's just the generic guaifenesin, and I don't usually have a problem. But this thing has kicked my butt, maybe because it is the first virus in all that time. But it just has made me tired and crabby. Excuse me. So I really haven't felt like doing much of anything. But I do things. Like yesterday, we're celebrating, in family news, we're celebrating my mom's 90th birthday this month. The actual birthday is this coming week, and we've tried several things to entertain her for her birth month, including my sister and I took her to Disneyland yesterday, and we had a delightful day. But my job, my sister was describing it to one of our favorite servers at our favorite breakfast restaurant in the resort, and she pointed to herself and she said, I push. She pointed to me and said, she drives, and then pointed to my mom and said, she pays. So that's how these days go. I get us all down there safely. And then my sister takes over and pushes my mom around in her wheelchair. And if there are meals to be eaten or snacks to be bought, or if it's my mother, she likes to buy souvenirs for us, she pays for stuff. And that makes her happy and makes us happy. So we had a lovely day yesterday, and I got home at about 10:30 in the evening, and I was just zonked. The leftovers, I'm at the end of the sinus infection thing, but I haven't fully recovered yet. So my mom said, something about taking care of myself, and I said, you know what? And the next 2 days, I'm just gonna stay flat. I'm not gonna try to get anything done. And then this morning, because I slept really well last night, this morning I got up, I said, maybe I could record a floss tube, because it doesn't take a whole lot of physical energy. And then I went around and started collecting stuff and said, oh yeah, that part. But here I am. I'm inspired by Melanie Watkins, who I enjoy following, but she has a full life and she doesn't get to post very often. She posted one this morning and I said, all right, I'm inspired. I will try to keep up with Melanie a little bit and get something posted. And I've also been wanting to post. I tried earlier in the year to do the Carolyn, Zook, and Robyn Hall's Magazine Monthly Challenge. That's it, just the Magazine Monthly Challenge. And I've tried to do it, and there just are too many moving parts in my life to really focus on that. So I gave it up, and then I went to their Zoom call last month. I had so much fun with those ladies, and a lot of them are doing the challenge and we're reporting on their progress. And I said, okay, for next month, so I can have something to say of value at the Zoom meeting, I'm going to go ahead and get all that together and try to participate in that. So that's what this is really supposed to be. I was hoping to keep it short, and I've already gone on for almost 9 minutes, just rattling. Yeah, since I'm here, I might as well do it. And then I'm hoping that I've learned a few things about my editing program that I'm hoping are going to make things more efficient, go more easily. So we'll see how that goes. So before I get in, excuse me, this is probably going to happen. It's talking that gets my cough going. So I have my water and tissues just in case. And then all over here is the stuff that I want to share and where I'm going with things. Before the Magazine Monthly Challenge stuff, I do have things that are not part of the challenge that I'm trying to work on a little bit every week. One of them, and I'm not sure that's just a picture of this. Let me see if I can find it. I think that's what that was, yes. Okay, so Felicia at Mouse Potato Designs spends time finding beautiful freebies all over the internet, and this is one she found that I fell in love with. It's called The Way to Happiness, and it's based on a quote by Norman Vincent Peale. This is as close to a sampler, I think, as I'm ever going to get. But I loved what it said. The way to happiness: keep your heart free from hate, your mind from worry, live simply, expect little, give much, scatter sunshine, forget self, and think of others. And there is a version of it where they actually have the citation to Peale down here. So I fell in love with it right away. I kitted it up right away, and I've been working on it a little bit at a time. Actually, so here's what I did. I take the needle out, I guess. I did this part here. And then realized that I had done it on the wrong part of the fabric. I had done it on what on this fabric is the back. It's this light blue color, and that's not what I wanted it. I wanted it to be on the darker side of the fabric. And I had a big enough piece that I just went ahead and flipped it over and got it started on the darker side, which doesn't really show up in this camera that well, but I'm happier with it. And this is the top part. Obviously I've gone down to the actual letters of it. I have a long way to go, but I don't have any plans for it other than the fun of positive affirmations to myself. So that's one thing. These early projects that I want to share are things I try to do a little bit on every week. They're not part of the plan for Magazine Monthly Challenge or anything else. It just, they are just things that over time I would like to see myself make some progress on. But they're not any, nothing's written down there, and I don't have any real personal commitment to to what I might be doing with them. I do know where I want to hang it on the wall though when it's done, so that usually gives me a little bit of a boost. Another thing that I did get started on, bought the chart, was all excited to be part of the in crowd doing this, and it took me just a couple of completions of what I did try to do to say, oh, this ain't happening this year. This is not going to happen this year. This is the Stitchin Mommy temperature butterflies. This is going to be such an exciting thing to have to work on, but all I did was the outline of the two butterflies. I think I'm doing it 3x4, and it'll take the whole piece of paper, of fabric. This is Garden Party by Stitch Me. And I just kind of realized as I was working on this that this took all of my evening stitching time for about 2 weeks, a week and a half to get to this point. And I said, this isn't going to happen this year. A more realistic goal for me this year on this would be to say, let's have all the outlines done by January of 2023, and then be able to go in and fill in the daily colors next year. So that's kind of where I'm going with that one. And then this is one, at this point it doesn't fit in to any of the challenge prompts or acrostics or anything like that. It did fit in, and I did get work done on Baringo on this, but that was it. I couldn't really come up with a logical challenge to myself on the acrostic for this, getting back into this, because I let February go. I think I did January, I did most of Baringo and then stopped, and I explained that in the previous video, but I was just going to let it all go for the year, and then I got inspired to get back into it. So at any rate, this is A Stitch for Sweet Freedom by Lindy Stitches, Samantha Webb. And I'm just trying to do a little bit of it as I get inspired to do it, but also keeping in mind that I would like to have this fully finished by Juneteenth of this year, which is just in June. March, April, May, that's just a little over 2 months. And something's coming up for me I'm not at liberty to talk about, but if it is all pulled off, it's going to eat up some time. So I have this out with my stuff, and I try to get a little bit done on it every week toward the idea that it will be finished, fully finished and on display by Juneteenth. So that's that one. And I think everything else, I mean, I know that I've shown the other things that I'm trying to kind of keep up on a little at a time, but without much of a schedule, other than like I make sure I buy the patterns every month for Donna Bayliss's By the Bay Needleart. This is Home Sweet Home, and there are, that ain't it, there we go. I thought I had it with this. Perhaps not. I'm sure I did, because I wanted to mention the it doesn't matter. One a month. The house things come out one a month. I keep buying them, but I only was able to finish one of them. I think one of the things that's blocking me and keeping me from being more consistent is this stuff here. I don't like this. I don't enjoy stitching it, and I don't think I'm going to like it when the whole piece is done. and so I feel blocked by it. So what I decided was to not do any more of this. I'm just going to go ahead and do these blocks, and then when they're all done, I'll see what the piece needs. And if it needs this whole thing, I think this is really kind of clunky for something that is very delicate in my mind. And so what I'd really like to do is go ahead and put the houses in, which is going to take a couple of years at the rate I'm going. And then I'll go back and take a look at those fillers. We would call it sashing and quilting. And maybe there's a way to make it a little more delicate, not quite so clunky looking. And I don't think I've touched this all month. It's just not, I have other things I'm working on that I'm more excited about right now. And then this piece, I also don't think I was able to work into the challenge, but I want it finished by June. This is Snowflower Diaries, A Joyful World. This is part of the Joyful World calendar. This is June, so it's the bear and the hive. This whole scene is June, and it has this border on it. And I had gotten that far. This part is pretty much done, and then I got started on the border. And then I went leafing online through the other blocks and realized she had another whole border for these pieces if you were not going to do the whole calendar. Excuse me. If you were just going to do one or two of them, they had this adorable border. I really do love it. And so I want to do that. I want to put that border on here. So that's what I've been working on. I've got this part of the top done. There are little dropped flowers coming down and just a lot of embellishing of the border. So it's got the flowers going up, and then flowers, these are the red flowers, and then there are blue flowers dropping down. It really is pretty. And I haven't, if I can work it into an acrostic on the Magazine Monthly from now on, it'll go in every slot that I can possibly shove it into. I want to say that I thought, yeah, no, I didn't work it in to what I've been working on for the Magazine Monthly this month. But over the course of time, if I can work it into April, May, I will, because I really want it done by June 1st to be part of the June to the summer, because I have teddy bears and bees are part of my entryway decor. I'd love to have that piece finished. So those are kind of the pieces that I've been working on that are not part of the acrostics, not part of the Magazine Monthly Challenge, but I did go ahead and fill in my March Magazine Monthlies. So what I wanted to do, where I'm kind of butting heads with the challenge, is the whole point of it is to get things done from magazines. But I cut up my magazines a long time ago. I kept every chart that I thought I might possibly do someday in 3-ring binders, and then just got rid of the stacks of magazines. So I don't really have a lot to work from, and was not able to find something that I wanted. I also don't want to start things. I'm trying to work from things I've already started so that I can finish some stuff up. So the thing that I chose to go with a theme for this month, it's Carolyn's birthday month this month, and she chose the theme of animals for her birthday month. And so the animal-based thing is not on the magazine. It's from an Etsy chart that I bought. Oh, here's this. I knew I'd grab that. Let me back up. This is that By the Bay piece. And this is what it's going to look like when it's done over here. And, you know, when you see it like this, I think it needs all of that filler, what we would call sashing on a quilt. I'm just not sure that I like it. And I don't enjoy working on it. It makes me nervous. It gives me anxiety. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of the boxes, and then when they're all done, I'll decide what I'm going to go in and fill it in. So that's what that was out there for. What happened to... I knew I had it in my hot little hand. What happens when your brain's been full of mucus for 2 weeks. Right, so it's not here. It's the whale piece that I did start a couple of months ago. And I put in 2 or 3 evenings kind of filling in some of the water and everything. I think I used it in the book. This is my planning book. It was just in there to work on it, but I also put it for the U and furry. I did it as underwater for U and did some of the water pieces of it over the course of a few evenings. So that was for that. Okay, it's bad enough that I'll probably break out a cough from time to time through this because that's what's happening. It's a post-nasal drip cough from the mucus in my sinus draining backwards. But blowing my nose, that's just going too far. I'm not going to subject you to that. So I did pause, took care of a few bodily issues. And while I was doing that, I found the whale. So this is an Etsy shop called Green Terrace. She designed this beautiful whale in a wave. Has kind of a hokusai feel to me. And I was able to do some of this part here. So I finished the white and then continued down into here. So there we're caught up. It's over there. All right. So the rest of my plan for the Magazine Monthly Challenge is here. And I wanted to, and have been actually doing a pretty good job of this piece. Appears in there twice. It is called Happy Haunting. And this is a magazine piece. Yay me. And it was in, as I recall, Cross Stitcher magazine. This was the one that I had cut out and filed from 2019. And so for the second, so the first R is in something else. I'll touch on that in a minute. And then the second R from Furry, which was the acrostic I chose, is the red apples. So I can find them here. This row here. This row here has red apples. And the as I recall, I did it during another acrostic. I got one of them done. And so kind of what I'd like to do for this one is finish the other two in this row. It's such a clever design. I mean, they didn't just put red apples there. They covered them with poison. So they're poison apples. Here's the poison. And then it's got the goopy stuff on it. And someone's already taken a bite out of that one. So they're in trouble. So that's the R, second R in furry. And then the F is a start. This was I believe, a expo pattern that I fell in love with last season. And I know it's sitting here because I just moved it. But it's something else I'd love to have done for the 4th of July. So it's Silver Creek Samplers, Founding Promises. Equality, Justice, and Hope. Loved it. And so for the F, on Founding for furry, I want to do this Founding Promises chart. And I thought for the, I could do the blue on the flag for the F in furry, and then for the first R in furry, I can do the red in the flag. So with any luck, by the end of the month, I should have the blue and the red finished in this chart. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this or not. Talking has been an issue through all of this. This is the only talking I've done today, so I was hoping I'd be okay. For the Y in the acrostic for furry, I've been focused on the yellow in this moon up here. So this is the moon here. It's just such a wonderful design. I love the way they've done this. Here's a little bit more of a close-up on the that part of the chart. I did have to spend some time when I set up my, I don't think I have them in here, my floss cards. I put the wrong colors in certain places. So I had done the whole roof of this house, this part that's in this light purple here, I had done in a red, more this color, because I had it in the wrong place. And then when I didn't realize what I'd done, because it looked kind of natural up there, it wasn't a problem. But when I went to do the bat, it was totally out of place in this bat. I decided to do some yellow here and then go ahead and put the bat in because it gave me landmarks to count from and got it out of the way. I figured I was less likely to make a mistake with the sun colors if I had this bat in as a placeholder already. And the red was completely off for this. So I realized what I had done, went back and looked, frogged it all out of here, and finished this with the purple. I was going to go ahead and leave it here because it didn't really look bad until I finished the purple here, and I said, no, you got to get that out of there. So I frogged it out of here and re-stitched it, and I'm much happier with it. But it's that yellow moon that is the Y in furry. And then another thing that Magazine Monthly Challenge group inspired me to do was go ahead and pull the Garden Stitchery Designer Focus Challenge for the year. I really didn't have any interest in doing this, mostly because, can I explain this? Okay, so in 2005, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there, I, in 3 different summers, drove my mother from our home where we live in Southern California, from her house and my house. We're about a half hour from each other. Up the 15, all the way to northern Utah, where I had a second home. Stayed a day or 2 there, and then cut on the 80 and went straight across to Lincoln, Nebraska, and then dropped down a day. It was just a few hours drive into where my mother's sister lived in Kansas. And it was 1 full day to, I think we were stopping in Mesquite, Las Vegas at that time. So we'd stay in Mesquite, and then the next full day got us to the condo. And then we stayed there for a day or so, and then the next full day got us across Wyoming and into Nebraska to Sydney, and we spent the night there, and then from Sydney we're able to go the rest of the distance. So 4 days of driving, right? Mesquite, Utah, Sydney, and Kansas. So that was 4 days. We did not stop in rest areas. We stopped at quilt shops. Spent money at every one of them, and I think we've counted out that by the time we'd gotten there and then came back home, stopping in different quilt shops every time as we could find them, we had visited 15 different quilt shops. And what was fascinating to me on those trips, and is still fascinating to me, is that we didn't see the same fabric in any 2 quilt shops. In fact, there was one I fell in love with at Nancy's in Las Vegas. And I said, oh, I'm not going to get it now. We're in the beginning of our trip. I'm just going to go get it at a different shop. And it was on the way home that we finally found that in a shop. But that means that there were 13 different quilt shops that did not have that fabric. And it's where I realized shops don't sing the same music. Every shop has its own kind of music that it sings. Every shop owner has their preferences. And they're not necessarily going to sing your song. They're not necessarily going to sing my song. And that's kind of what has happened to me with this. I adore Gary and Ronnie of Gary Stitchery, and they are my go-to when I just need to chart or kit, or not chart, but if I need to kit up a chart. That's what I'm trying to say. I start with Gary Stitchery and see if they have the colors that I need. But for the most part, their song is not my song. I don't buy a lot of fabric from them. It's just not, I'm not primmy. I am not into samplers. I'm not into a lot of the things that they're focusing on, that they're trying to stitch. I have zero interest in. I did realize when I decided, no, I'd like to be participating with the people in the Magazine Monthly Challenge. Let me go back and take a look at this again. So January, the theme was Nora Corbett or Mirabilia. I would have said off the top of my head, I don't even have anything from them, and I don't want to start anything new. I don't want to have to go buy anything new to do this. So I would have just crossed that one off. And as it turned out, I did. I do have 3 of the Nora Corbett Winter Animals series that she did. And I also have a free chart from Mirabilia, a mermaid, that was really pretty. And actually would have been a small, and I may still do it. But at the time I was looking at this and saying, I don't think I'm going to jump on this bandwagon this year. Those things weren't coming to me. And then I went down on the list, hands-on design. I love her stuff, and I do have it. I do have some stuff I could have done. But again, I would have had to start new projects, and I wasn't in the process of anything. So I said I would just cross that one off. March, Rosewood Manor. I have I don't understand the appeal, honestly. Same with ink circles, long dog samplers. I don't like samplers, and I especially don't like the ones that are so busy. It's just not my song. And so of the first 4 months, their hands-on design would have been the only thing I would have even started to deal with. So I said, forget it, I'm not going to do that challenge. Went on Magazine Monthly, saw that, you know, just wanted to feel like part of the group. So I said, oh, let me go take another look at it. So what I decided to do, let's go ahead. January was done. I'm going to skip that one. February would have been hands-on design. Now, in the meantime, Cathy Haberman introduced her new design, called the 17th. And this was Love at First Sight. Now, I don't want to do the block party. I just want to do this piece. And I want to do it, finish it the way she did down here. So I did get this stuff because I liked this so much. I got the fabric and ordered the floss and got that all ready to go. And what I thought I'd go ahead and do, it was supposed to be in February, but since I had really no desire to participate in the Rosewood Manor or the ink circles or the long dog samplers, I said, you know what, I'm getting into it in March, right? The first week of March. So just move hands-on design in there and get it started in March, and then you can work on it in March and April while everybody else is doing their Nora Corbett. They've already done their Mirabilia's Nora Corbett's. They're focused on in March on Rosewood Manor. I can get started on the hands-on design, which was in February. And then in April, while they're doing ink circles and long dog samplers, I can continue on with the hands-on design. Then I said, and I don't think I have any from the rest of these artists, but I did start going through my stuff and realized that I do have some of this. For May is supposed to be Blackbird Designs, and I have, did I get it in here? Oh, I'm in the wrong year, duh. And these I am going to have to buy some of them, but this one I already had, and I didn't even realize who I had. Octopus's Garden by Blackbird Designs. I have it. I can get it started, kitted up. Even if I just find the fabric and one floss that I can work in a few strands and say, there, I did it. That was my focus for that one. And then I can, again, work on other things once I've touched it. And then for June, this is June, yeah. June, that was Plum Street Samplers, which is one of my favorite companies. And I already have what I need for this one. It's called Summer in Nantucket. I think Pam Schaffner was working on it on Just Keep Stitchin', and she and I, we love the same things. So I had ordered it right away, and I will be able to, I guess I don't have my fabric here. I ordered a really dark, it's a vintage Needleart's color called I think it's called Nantucket Sound, and it's more of a foggy dark blue color fabric. So I'm going to do this on that, mostly because the year that I went to Cape Cod, it was a dreary, overcast, rainy day, and I wanted that feel, not summer in Nantucket. I wanted the feel of fall in Nantucket. Not Nantucket, but Cape Cod, but that's what I wanted to do there. Plus, I think this white whale down here, you can hardly even see him on the lighter fabric. I think he's going to he and the mermaid are going to show up a lot better I will have to change the color of the lighthouse because the blue isn't going to show up against the blue. But I can just continue the red and white. What's the name of the Nashua? N-A-S-H-U-A, Nashua Lighthouse? Isn't that the Cape Cod lighthouse? Cape Cod chips? I'll have to look it up. But the point is, I can continue the red and white on that dark blue and it'll be fine. So that will be Plum Street Samplers. And then in July, it was, let me find this, Erica Michaels. I don't own this chart. I'm going to have to order this chart if by July I decide that this is what I want to do. But it's another sea-focused piece. And I just liked the message in it. Harbor strength, watch the whales, shine like a lighthouse and let your dreams set sail, anchor your soul. I could live with that. So I can do that. I'll order it because I don't think I have it right now. I'm not even sure. Was it one of those market pieces that hasn't come out yet? If you didn't pre-order it, I don't remember. August, I didn't think I had anything from Bent Creek. I knew I'd had some that I'd worked on at some point, but I don't know where they are, and I don't know that I want to finish them, but I did look. I do want to do this. And realized that when I'd gone to Marie Pat's last year in Long Beach, California, I bought the Bent Creek Summer Row. I had already done the Spooky Row, and I have 3 more of the Bent Creek rows to do, and but not summer rows, so I went ahead and bought it. So I do have that one. But then this one, I made this one for my cousin years ago. She has since passed. And I don't have it, and I'm not going to get it back from her kids. But I loved doing it, and I just love the piece. So I'm going to pull it again, and I might even have the leftover flosses. I tend to keep things in kits like that. So I'll go look and see if I still have it. Although it kind of screams for overdyes, and I don't remember if I used overdyes in it. But I'll figure it out. That'll be August. September. There's nothing here. Does that mean it's one of the ones? Yeah, Glendon Place. It's not going to happen. I did buy the Pirates, the Glendon Place Pirates piece, and someday I may finish it for in this room where we're sitting. I think it would be a fabulous Halloween decoration for in this ocean-themed bedroom of mine. But I'll wait till September to decide how I'm going to handle that. I have some life things going on, and it might change the direction that I go. And I'm not really inspired to do it. So we'll see how things go. I might just decide that September is going to be when I pull some of this pull some of this other stuff together in here. October is supposed to be the Cricket collection. And I did go look at my Cricket collection pieces. There was nothing in them that was really calling to me. But every time I have seen anybody work on this piece, I have wanted it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put that, maybe on my birthday list. Maybe someone could get me the chart and maybe even the floss if I handle it correctly. I think my mom would like to have an idea of what to get me. She likes to get me things I'm really going to like, and I just have everything. I've been purging my house like crazy. She wants to know, well, what do you want for this? What do you want for Christmas? I'm like, don't bring anything into my house, please. I'm really still on overload. But that might be a good suggestion for her, and I wouldn't mind doing that one. It has always appealed to me. Something about that moon, I think. So that's October. November in this is Twin Peak Primitives, I think. Yeah. So Twin Peak Primitives is in November. I did order the PDF version of their patriotic ornaments. Too bad I can't get into them. I love PDFs. It's the whole instant gratification thing for me. But Becca Murphy and her friends on Sambry Stitches were really promoting these patriotic ornaments, and I hadn't looked at them closely. But once I saw what they were presenting, I think it was Becca and finally a farm girl, Chrissy. Some of these are really nice. I'm kind of looking at this one that has the drum. My son's son is a drummer. Son's a drummer, brother's a drummer, father was a drummer, grandfather was a drummer. So I'm thinking maybe this one would be fun to do, but there are half dozen of them on here that would be awesome in my house. I liked what Becca did with this one to make it a Ukraine tribute piece. She did a really good job with that, so I may go ahead and do that. But it's there, kind of almost ready to go, or certainly it'll be easy to get it ready to go by then. I was hoping this was going to be short, and we're already close to an hour. I hope the battery holds together. And then the December, I don't know what December is going to look like here. But the designer that they're focusing on is Teresa Kogut. And I did buy this chart last year. And so I just would get started on this. It has nothing to do with Christmas or anything for December. But it's such a cute piece, and I wouldn't mind having another 4th of July piece to display. So that would get me participating in that community pretty well. It got me a good start, and I did get a lot done, and I have another week and a half or 2 weeks. And I think by the end of the month, I'll be able to focus and say, yeah, I did it. You know, I touched everything I said I was going to touch. I do have all of that. Some other projects and other ways that I want to work on. I think that I already told you all about my autumn wish and the adventures of that, but I want to get this fully finished by Thanksgiving. So that's in the finish me pile. And then I went through some of my older pieces, like my 20 and 30-year-old finishes that I have in my craft closet, and I found this one. I had forgot I did it. It was so much fun. Such a cute design. I don't remember the designer. I can only tell you that I have like 4 more of these. I have a 4th of July one. Like, what I wanted was to get a frame and mat made where I could just pop these in and out. And instead, I think I'm going to use a Priscilla Blaine technique for finishing something that I can put magnets on them and pop them in and out. But isn't that cute? And then I went through my through my stash of quilt fabric and found this it's like an 1/8 of a yard, quarter of it, not even a quarter of a, yeah, it might have been a quarter of a yard. But anyway, they're carrots, and I thought they looked really cute. That's the background to that. So I'd like to get this one finished and ready to display this month for Easter in April. So I need to get that one done. I don't have a lot of haul. What I have are stacks of stash. I bought the cross-stitch clutch pattern twice, it turned out, from Starlight Stitching Co. And I really want to use some of my quilt fabric stash to make some of these clutches. We'll see how it goes. I don't like working with vinyl. I learned that making project bags. I have a stack of quilt fabric to make into project bags. I have all the vinyl. I'm intimidated by it because it wasn't an quick and easy. I like instant gratification. I was at the nursery the other day, and there was a long line of people waiting to check out. And this man in front of me, we started talking about the flowers that we had in our carts at the nursery. And it turned out we were in a neighboring town. I and this man and his wife live within blocks of each other in our town. It's just that our town doesn't have a decent garden center, so everybody has to go to this other town to get decent, interesting plants. Anyway, we're talking, and he was talking about zinnias, and he was disappointed because he wasn't able to find any zinnias. And I said, well, have you tried seeds? Have you done that before? And he said, oh, I don't like foreplay. I like getting right to it. It just cracked me up. I thought it was so funny. But I do zinnias from seed. And I don't have any problem with that. I'm a patient person. And what was the point of that? Oh, I guess the point had to do with making these kinds of things. They're just, I really would rather catch it and be able to get to the timing and just be able to buy a couple from her, because they really are time consuming. They're well worth what she charges for them. In other haul, I did go to Ekaterina España. Anyway, the name of her shop is the Stitchy Princess Black, and she's living in apparently bomb shelters in the Ukraine right now. And she's just part of our group where she pops up and shows us her new designs from time to time, has for a few years. And I love them, but I've never bought them. And then once this all hit and people started realizing that there are ways to help the people of Ukraine on a one-to-one basis by supporting their home businesses, a lot of us decided to just go in and start buying the charts that we've been, in my case, had been lusting after for a while. And they are also PDFs, so they, I was able to get them instantly like that. Anyway, I ordered Winter Wonderland and Winter Forest. And rabbits, carrots, and eggs. And the one that I want to start first is the one that I would have the biggest reaction to early on. Magical Swamp. And I think it would go really nicely in my bedroom. So I may go ahead and pull fabric. I probably have it already, something. In fact, now that I say this, I had already gone to find it. Here it is. This is Bestitch Me. Avocado, I think. Yeah, Avocado from the March 2021 Fabric of the Month. And you don't get much better than that as a match. And then I also had pulled a few DMC flosses that I already had so that I can get going on that. So at this point, it's a spiritual thing to try to support our friends. And I joined Crazy Annie's. I wanted to join one of the Fortnite Fabric clubs. And I don't know why I decided to do it through Crazy Annie's. Maybe because the guys were showing what they were doing for their new clubs and I wasn't really turned on by it. But I liked some of the color that was coming, they were suggesting, or for some reason I decided to go through Crazy Annie's. And it took them a while to get it all together. It turned out, I think, to be a bigger project than they thought it was going to be. So we're caught up now, as far as I know. And this one, I mean, right off the bat, yay, give me a pink, because I love pink fabric. And this one is called Wacky. Isn't that lovely? I'm kind of working on Valentine pieces this year, trying to get those up, and I think this would be fabulous with some maybe dark red or white Valentine pieces, smalls. And then this one, I've lost the guts to, but it's folded the same way, because we got two of them in one envelope. And because it's folded the same way, I think this is the second one from that shipment. And if it is, I believe it's called Zany. But it's a wonderful blue. So I'm happy to wait for them to get their act together, especially if I'm going to be this excited when the fabrics come in. And, oh, there it is. Yep, that was Zany. And then were there other things to share? I don't think so. I think I touched on everything. I hope I wasn't too offensive with my occasional postnasal drip cough. It's not in my chest yet. It's just that my mother used to try to teach me how to blow my nose. And what she didn't understand, because when her nose is running, it's running out through her nostrils. When my nose runs, it goes back as a postnasal drip. And then that is, I can really recognize it. That's what this cough is. And once it's just, I'll get past it. It's almost gone. The cough was new yesterday. And it was really weird because we were sitting at this restaurant at Disneyland, or in downtown Disney, and all of a sudden I just started coughing. I haven't coughed in 2 years, and I couldn't stop coughing. And my sister suggested that maybe it was some allergy. I said, I don't know what's triggering this all of a sudden. I know I've had the sinus infection. It started 2 weeks ago. It's gotten steadily better. I don't think that's what this is, and I am on my guaifenesin, so it should not, I shouldn't be coughing at all. And she suggested maybe an allergy to, because all the trees were in bloom at the resort, and I said, oh, that certainly is possible, because I have developed allergies over the years. And then it dawned on me, I'm allergic to perfumes, and I think that someone at one of the tables sitting around me must have been wearing fragrance, and that might have been what triggered it. It was embarrassing because we're all still very COVID focused. And so when you have someone coughing and coughing and coughing, that's the first place your mind goes. And I'm like, no, I tested. I tested. I don't have COVID. And I do wear my masks and take my precautions still. But anyway, got it this far. So, but I feel fine. I feel very tired today because yesterday was a tough haul. We covered a lot of ground at the park. My mother loves Batu. She's not a Star Wars freak. I'm a Star Wars geek, and I love it back there, but she doesn't know the stories. She said she thought she saw the first 2 movies, but didn't remember anything about them. And but she loves it. It's so immersive. It's so big. And you get into it, and she said, it really feels like you've gone to a whole different planet. And yeah, so she loves, well, it is a hike to get back there on the other side of the frontier. So we covered that ground, but it was just kind of magical. But Noelle is there, and Noelle is fabulous, just a fabulous piano player. The original person that we followed a lot, he had memorized, and he technically beautifully executes hundreds of songs, if not thousands of songs. But Noelle is clever in his interpretations of a lot of things. He has done a ragtime version of the ballad See the Light from Tangled that I adore. It made the sweetest little ragtime song. And he just has done that with a lot. He just adds that ragtime under signature, the rhythms under signature, and makes things into rags that you wouldn't think, like See the Light. It's a ballad, a romantic ballad, and yet he made it into this adorable little rag. And my sister, who is a musician, he finished one song that I didn't recognize, and she just looked at me and she goes, "You can't believe how hard that is to do what he just did," because of the syncopation, and you've got 2 different rhythms going on, and one of them is syncopated. And so she just was blown away. So we sat through 3 or 4 sets with Noelle, and he was fantastic. We hope he didn't get freaked out by having us sit there like that. But yeah, we ate, had some good food and some good conversation, and met some nice people and saw some beautiful flowers, and it was a really nice day. But I was tired when we got home because I didn't get home until about 10 last night. So I took a shower and fell asleep right away. And today is my day that the whole family is saying, just don't do anything. Just let your body heal. So this is it. This has been the big energy use for the day. Now I get to take this in and see if I can get my editing program. I've learned a little bit about it, and I want to see if I can get it to work to where I can export. Exporting's the issue, and the export process, you have to convert it from what your camera read to an MP4 so that it can go up on YouTube. And that part of the process has been taking me like 14 to 18 hours for my system to do that. I'm not doing something right. That's not viable. That's not sustainable to be able to do that. So I went looking to see what some options were, took some notes, and now I'm going to go try to see if I can get it to work on this. So have a nice Easter. I probably won't be back before then, although if this works well, I might be able to come back more often. And we're having really nice weather here in Southern California. I'm going on a whale watch Friday and hoping to see the grays are going through pretty fast they're coming from Baja, going up north. But they're expecting clusters of humpbacks any day now, and humpbacks are my favorites. So wish me luck. It's going to be pretty out there. I hope you're having pretty weather and pretty things to stitch. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, Flosstube. I'm back. Got a little sweaty. I did go take a nap I finished up the video, said goodbye, went in my happy room just to rest a little bit, ended up falling asleep for about 2 hours. And now I'm getting ready to do an international FaceTime conversation with my son in Japan. And I wanted to get before I move everything around and get the computer set up for FaceTime, I wanted to finish up because some stuff happened. I knew I was expecting some deliveries for haul, and I thought that would be something I wanted to include in this one. And then I have the, it's called the Spring Into, it's a magazine monthly challenge, Spring Forward or Spring Into the Future, or something like that. It's just what they are trying to get us to do, what I'm going to do is to pick one project that you're really close to finishing and devote like 5 hours to it this week, starting today, the 21st through the 27th. So I wanted to share that. The one that I chose is the Buffalo Plaid Summer. This was the pattern, the chart that was in Punch Needle and Primitive Embroidery by the Stitching Housewives, designed by Priscilla Blaine. I fell in love with this part here with the bee in the hive. I know exactly where I want it to go, so I got started on it. As long as it's afternoon and I can sit in my stitchy chair with a bright window from my sewing room behind my fabric, I can work on the Black Aida with no problem. And I got really quite a bit done on this piece, and I really want it done for this summer. So that's going to be my project. If I hadn't fallen asleep, I would have started it this afternoon, but I guess my body just said, girl, you need a break. I hate napping. I wake up so crabby and so disoriented, and then I won't be able to sleep tonight, but that's all right. It felt good to get a little bit caught up. I also had ordered from, this is my one market pre-order from Annabella's, is the, well, Hello Spring, also by the Stitching Housewives. There are a lot of elements in Priscilla's designs that I'm not fond of. I don't like the old cars. I don't like the old trucks. I'm not really fond of I mean, I love Rae Dunn and Rae Dunn cups, but I don't like the things kind of stuffed in them. Don't know why. But her detail that she includes kind of around everything is just tickles me. It never stops tickling me. So I ordered this pattern from Market, from Annabella's, like I said, because of this. I love her radishes and carrots along here. And it kind of goes with some other things I've ordered from them over the last couple of years. I ordered the Bunny Garden. I actually ordered it twice because I ordered it first. Where are you? I ordered the PDF first, and then I ordered the print copy when it came out. Or vice versa, I don't know what I did, but I had a couple of them to work from, and that's cool. And then I also had ordered the Frilly Cabbage Seeds PDF. And I also had ordered the Spicy Radish Seeds. And then I also had ordered, which fell on the ground, let's see if I can get it. Is it all of them? Yes. What I'm hoping is that if I can kind of play with this, treat it like a puzzle, and make the Bunny Garden the centerpiece, but figure out how to take these other elements and work them into an overall pattern, which would make this bigger, but include all of the fun radishes and carrots and maybe the little chicks and stuff. I don't know. I don't know how I would do it, but I'm going to give it a try, and just, I have this collection of stuff to do that with. So that was one of the things I was waiting for today, and it came from Annabella's. And then I also had ordered this fabric, and I'll show it to you in a minute. I will start by saying I'm a big fan of, I guess they call it primitive embroidery now. I just call it traditional embroidery. I like it for some things even better than cross stitch, specifically once you get it drawn on your fabric, you can take it anywhere and just stitch along. Pick your fabric, pick your flosses, kit it up, and then you're ready to take it. You don't have to worry about being somewhere where you can count and you can't have a conversation with someone. I'm wanting these to work on when I take my mom to her quilt club, because there are always conversations going on, and I get off if I'm trying to do counted cross stitch, and they tend to be small. This is one of the ones of hers that I fell in love with. It's called Take Me to the Sea. What is it called? To the Sea. And I'm hoping to make several of these for Christmas gifts for the crew of the whale watch boat I go out on all the time. I'd like to get started on that. And then this Emily Dickinson quote is one of my favorite quotes by anybody. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And when I saw that Cathy had done this, I'm like, well, I'm not crazy about stitching all these words, and I have never done the technique. This is a technique where you take crayon and kind of color in your piece and then press it down with an iron, and the wax and the color will melt in and create this effect. But I was willing to do it to have this because it totally is me. It totally fits where I live. So I ordered the pattern and just did a little happy jig here when I realized what it was. This is all printed on the fabric. And all I have to do is stitch around the leaves, stitch around the bird to give it a little bit of dimension. But I don't have to stitch these words in. I don't have to mess with the color. It's all printed on the fabric. Which brings me to the fabric that I bought online this week, and it was delivered, and I thought that I had their card here. Darn it, it must have fallen. Did they? No, it's I want to call it, I want to say it was Quilt Bliss, and an Etsy store. I will definitely put it down below in the description. But they're called My Country Petite Pillows by Cathy Schmitz. And there are five or six of these little patriotic designs. So the Glory House, there's a rabbit, there is the word liberty. Over here, I put it upside down. I'm rushing because my son is going to come around here pretty soon. Get to talk to him. Freedom. The bird with a flag. And the fireworks, firecracker. And I don't have to do anything with these other than match the flosses. They're all pre-printed, and all I'm doing is stitching around them to give dimension. Now, what was exciting to me about this, and the reason I'm sharing it on Flosstube, I will probably just end up making with these the way they are intended, but you can see there is a rabbit, and look at the fabric around it, and then she gives you the back. So these are designed for small pillows, and each one has the design and then a matching piece that you can use to make the back of the pillow. So what if you're doing cross stitch pieces and you ordered this? This could be, you could do a cross stitch piece that fit this for one side of your small, and then use this as the back of it. And use this as the back of it, and you would end up getting a dozen backings if you did that from this one piece of fabric. So I wanted to share that before I shut this all down for good, because I'm really impressed with this. And again, I think it's called Quilt Bliss or Quilted Bliss. They are here in the U.S. somewhere, and I like I said, I thought I had the card with me. I made the effort to get it, make sure it was together, but with the mess I've made here today and the nap I took, I'm not back yet. So I will find it and make sure it gets in the description. So yeah, I'm gonna got my desk cleared off, my note thing for notes, and I'm gonna shut this camera off and get my laptop so that I can FaceTime with my son. See you next time. Bye.